So remember, this is the board. So the board has first this array of boxes, and it has 25 boxes, number 1 through 25. Then you have a list of all 25 roles, and here you write the dice results. Here you create the corresponding expressions, and here you evaluate the expressions. You do that row by row, and you're going to do that exactly 25 times, or your students will. And finally, you have a scoring in which you actually accumulate the score of each round. And if you get 100 or 200, you start getting some raffle. So let's go through a sample. Let's say here that, so remember that the first 5 roles is going to be the mentor who creates the expression, so everybody gets the same points. So let's say, for example, mentor rolled these dice, and he got in the first roll a 1, a 3, and a 6. So let's do it, 1, 3, and 6. And so let's say he creates an expression, and for instance, let's say he just adds numbers, and so he creates the following expression. 3 plus 1, parentheses, plus 6. Then he evaluates, that's equal to 10. And so everybody in their boards will just write 10. So everybody marks the 10 box. Annabelle, Carlos, and Elisa, this is just an example. They get 0 points because there's no side box next to the entry they just marked, because, well, it's just the first round. So everybody gets 0 points so far, 0, 0, 0. Then second roll, let's say you roll a 4, a 3, and a 4. It's perfectly okay to roll equal values in the dice. You don't re-roll, that's fine. Say that you multiply 4 times 3 and add 4 to create a different expression. So a new expression, so 4 times 3, for example, plus 4. And so here you don't really need parentheses, but you could use them. Remember that multiplication has priority over the sum. But I mean, it's okay to use parentheses, just to stress the fact that, parentheses are made for that, to reduce ambiguity. So anyways, you just evaluate this, you get 16. Everybody marks 16. And they also get 0 points because 16 is nowhere near already marked box. So, well, plus 0, plus 0, plus 0. And you just accumulate. So far, everybody has 0 points. So mentors will do this exactly 5 times. There's going to be the first 5 rolls. That is just to learn the rules, to see how the game operates, just so that everybody's on the same page. And the mentor is in charge of creating expressions. Doesn't matter which expression you choose. So let's move on and say that now we have reached, a stage in which the mentor has already rolled 5 times, or rather not the mentor, but the students, they roll and everybody is the same expression. So what happens now is that so far everybody has the same score, 26, 26, 26. And so far all the game boards are the same. You have a 2, a 5, a 10, a 16, and a 17 box already filled with an X, already marked with an X. So let's say that it's Annabelle's turn, so she's going to roll. She rolls for everybody, right? So let's say Annabelle rolls a 2, and then she rolls, say, a 6, and then she rolls a 3, just as an example. So she rolled these dice, and then everybody will create its own expression. So now we start actually playing the game in the sense that students start to make decisions on what to do. So for example, let's say that Annabelle, she wants to create something like, that's kind of near some boxes. Let's say she comes out with this expression, 2 times 6 minus 3. And so that's equal to 12 minus 3, and that's equal to 9. And as a mentor, you should insist that students write on their whiteboards so that you can check, you can correct or point out things. So it's just easier for you to keep track. Later, they write in the board, in their game boards or the papers. So okay, she writes a 9 here. She marks this 9, and look, since 9 is touching this 10 box sideways, she'll get 10 points. Since it's not touching the 5, it's touching it diagonal, it just gets, just 0 points for that 5. So what she does is she adds 10 and accumulates that's 36 points. Okay. Carlos, let's say he creates the following expression: 2 plus 6. So that's 8. And then he, for example, adds 3 also. So that's going to be 11. He marks the 11. And again, he's going to get points for boxes that are already marked and are touching sideways, not diagonally, not in the corners. You have to touch sideways. So he would get 16 points because he's next to a already marked 16. So that gives points. This 17 doesn't give any points, so it doesn't give any points. So he'll get 16 points. So he just adds 16. And it's a great game because you keep adding. So it just, reinforces mental math or, techniques for adding. So for example, how would you add 16 and 26? You could first add the tens. So 2 and 1, that's 30. And then 6 and 6 is 12. So 42. So there's several ways. So far he's winning the game. And let's say Elisa wants to create an expression. And so for probably Elisa, she sees that it would be good if this next to 17. So maybe try to create a 12 or a 22, etc. But let's just say that Elisa made what we could say a mistake. Let's say she created this expression: 2 plus 6 minus 3. So here again, you don't really need parentheses, but it's good to write them anyways, just for conceptual understanding of what you're doing. So that's 8 minus 3, so that's a 5. In this case, since 5 is already marked, it's already in the game board, she has to pass. Okay, so she just passes, which is the same as saying that I add 0. So pass, you don't get any points. So she's still in 26. Okay, so that's kind of an unfortunate situation for her, but that's fine. And so this illustrates how the games go. This was roll 6. And again, let's write roll 6, what we just played. It was a 2, a 6, and a 3. And let me illustrate what would happen if, for example, you do the following roll. So let's just try this roll in which you, for example, get 1, and then you get a 2, and then you get another 2, for example. That's fine. So let's say Annabelle, from this new roll of 1, 2, 2, so there's this new roll. Let's say Annabelle creates the following expression: 2 plus 2 divided by, and here I need parentheses, 1. And again, I have to use all 3 numbers in my expression, and exactly 1. So I use the 2, and the 1. I use them all. 2 plus 2 is 4, divided by 1 is 4. So she marks this new entry 4. And so let me illustrate how many points she would get. So she would get points from the entries that are the boxes that are marked and touching in the sides, but she will not get points for the box that is just touching on the diagonal. So that is 5 plus 9. So 5 plus 9. So 5 plus 9. 5 plus 9, that's 14. And so she's getting 14 more points. So she would add these 14 with the 36. So how would she write it? She would write a 5 here, a 9. 36 plus 5 is 41. 41 plus 9 is 50. So she would get to 50 points up to this stage. Okay. Well, let's observation, notice that roll 4, roll 2, and roll 5 were pretty much the same roll, right? Because when you roll, the order of the dice doesn't matter. So if you roll a pair of 2s and a 3, that's okay. It'll just force you to create different expressions than from the ones you created before, so that you get new numbers. So the game proceeds like that, and it's 25 rolls in which all players need to create expressions. It is okay that players create the same expression in a roll. The point is that they are free. They are free to choose any expression. But the first 5 rounds, as we said, the mentor is choosing the expression. So let me finish with some quick tips, reference tips, in case you want to rewatch this video or you just go to the end. So remember that the first roll is always 0 points. That's because, it's brand new board, so you won't get any already marked boxes. Second tip, if you create an already X number, then you have to pass. So you always want to create numbers that are new. Otherwise, you just lose your turn. Repeating dice rolls is okay. So it's okay to generate the same set of numbers than before. You'll be able probably to create an expression that's new and that produces a different value than before. The first 5 rolls is the same expression. It's just an excuse for us to teach the game, but they're not really playing yet. They're just, following the rules and understanding the game. Of course, you could use another, if kids are still not, understanding well, you could use the first 6 rounds or 7 rounds and so on. So just adjust more than as teacher, just adjust to the level. And from 6 to 25 fifth roll, players will be free to choose any expression. So those are summary of quick things that may be important so that you don't forget. And then let's get to some more general tips. You can use whiteboards. Remember, make sure that kids use whiteboards before writing the expression in their game boards, in the sheet of paper. Remember that you keep updating scores, so use accumulated scores in your scoring sheet. Students may play in pairs, so that's up to you. You could play, in pairs if you feel that's gonna be better for you. Otherwise, just do it individually. That's fine. So just test waters with your kids. Also, you may use exponentials if you feel, that's gonna bring the game to another level. And it also depends on how comfortable your students are with exponentials. So for example, you could use something along the lines as 2 to the 3 minus 5 if you got a 2, a 3, and a 5. So you're using the numbers 2, 3, and 5, right? As well. And so that's 8 minus 5. So that would be a 3. So exponentials allow to produce, of course, bigger numbers when the rolls are kind of small and you're looking for big numbers. Just make sure that you tell your students if you're going to use that rule or not. You could say from round 15 on, then exponentials are open in the sense that, now they're allowed. And final tip, students take turns rolling dice, so that's important to keep them engaged. I guess the mentor will only roll the first 1 or 2 times, and then it's all about the students. But don't forget, if a student rolls, it's not just for him. He's rolling for everybody in the table, right? The dice rolls should be in the center of the table, and everybody should be, creating the expression. I hope you have a lot of fun playing this game, and good luck.